Welcome to Livestream. So, is this like cloud based, Blunty? Are we all using the same thing?
Yeah, I sent the wrong link. That's why. I'll send it again.
That's like. Okay.
Yeah, that's an individual card.
Why is it popping up with X's like other people are manipulating it?
I sent the wrong link. That's what I'm saying. If you go look at
okay. So this
chat,
link.
I put a different link in there, and you can
will
click
generate my own card. Yeah. Because this one is just nuts. Everyone's just clicking it madly. Oh shit. Okay, hang on. I closed it. I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. Generate card. Okay. So there's the card. What I really would like to do, though, Blunty, is... What I would really like to do is go to my... my head cam. And then add a URL source. Add a URL source. I know I can do this. Browser. There we go. Add a browser source. Okay, so then I'm going to copy your URL. I'm going to copy this URL. Create new. Name it JB Bingo.
Does this count as a technical issue?
You know what? I don't know. Let me see here. Okay. So then if I hit okay. Oh yeah. Can I but I can't interact with it to generate the card. So once I've generated okay. So I got to generate the card, right? Okay, so here we go. I visit site. Okay, no. Okay, I generate the card. Once I do that, that's my own unique card. So now I take that URL, right? Is that what you're saying I should do?
Yes, but yes, if you show that on screen and then also keep that URL in your window, you can mark it on your browser and it'll show up in there.
Okay. So wait, it randomizes it. Where's the watches? Bardwell forgets to change screen. Hang on. FPV Racing.
I think I did 30 of them, so there might not be on every card.
Oh, they're different ones.
Oh, yeah, we don't. I think so they're like some of them could not be the same. Yep.
Well, darn, we already had Bardwell discuss his watches. Okay, so but if we're not all playing, but that's so the way that bingo works is we all have the same numbers, don't we? Or do people have different numbers randomly?
That's what I'm saying. People have different numbers randomly. So like you could get in as long as you get 5 in a row with whatever happens in the stream based on the So
we're not all playing. I see. So if I put this card on screen, it's only whether I get bingo. It's not whether like we as a chat this live stream achieved bingo.
Yeah, like the idea would be like somebody links their card and goes, "I got bingo," you know.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, we'll see whether I get bingo. Let's see. Have we got anything yet? I mean, Blunty, you'll have to keep an eye, or chat will have to keep an eye on my bingo card. Let's see. I don't think we would call this. I don't think we're going to call this a technical issue. Okay. Started at least 1 minute late. I feel like we started at least 1 minute late. I mean, we haven't really started yet. All right, I'm going to give myself that one. Okay. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Bardwell trying to psyop us into thinking he doesn't play bingo. Sorry, I am not that old yet. I'm not that old yet. I am getting there. Thank you, by the way, Blunty. That's very charming. I was actually out in the yard doing yard work. Whoa. Doing yard work. Did I tell the story about the time that I did so much yard work that I passed out? Have I told this story on stream?
No. I don't remember that story. So maybe before I was doing Q&As. Okay.
No. This was like in the last 3 months. I don't remember exactly when. Long story short, I got up, I had a cup of coffee, chugged a glass of water, whatever. Didn't really have any breakfast. A lot of times I'll skip breakfast. Went outside, started doing yard work. Various types of yard work. Some of it just riding on the riding mower, not that stressful. Some of it pushing the push mower. I use the push mower to do like the quote unquote flower beds that aren't anymore flower beds because they haven't been, kept since I moved in 15 years ago. But, so some of it was a little strenuous, pushing that push mower up and down steep hills, dragging it around places where I really probably ought to be using a string trimmer, but the push mower is so much faster. Anyway, after about 3 hours, there was like 3 hours of work. And I came in and I sat down and, got a glass of water and then my wife asked a question and I had to run down to the basement to get something. I popped up off the bed to go down to the basement to grab this thing for her. Sometimes you stand up too fast, you get a tiny bit woozily lightheaded, and you're like, oh, hold on, I got to lean on the wall for a second. I don't know if that happens to everybody. It's probably a pretty common experience, probably more common as you get older. So I pop up, I go over, and I got a tiny bit lightheaded. I got to lean on the wall. And the next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor. My wife is looking down at me, putting a pillow under my head. She's like, you passed out. I'm like, oh. Maybe I shouldn't have done like 3 hours of yard work on an empty stomach without hydrating any point in the middle of it. So this time I hydrated properly. Yeah. Anyway. Bardwell talks about yard work, not on my card.
It actually is.
Is it? Where? Not on my card.
Column.
Oh, there it is! Oh my God! There it is! Flitty, you know me so well. Why did my card moved? My card changed. This was no, it's here.
It turns out if I edit any of the I've never used this before. If I edit the main card, like the big pool, then it'll reshuffle the cards. Yeah.
All the cards that have already been generated.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We're doing good.
So I'll save it.
Alrighty. That's so fun.
Just a reminder, what we do on the stream is actually answer questions from people. So you might not know this from watching the stream. Sometimes it's a little confusing, but we do answer questions from people. So don't forget, if you have a question that you want us to answer, you can put it in the chat, and then I'll queue it up. You only have to ask one time, and then Bardwell will look through them and pick some ones he wants to answer, and then hopefully we'll get to as many as we can. But we probably won't get to all of them because that's how this stream goes.
Are we also the problem with the bingo card will be that people will intentionally try to steer the live stream to get their bingo things. So we'll have to see how that goes. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. If you're not a father, you're probably a son or a daughter. Make sure that you wish your father a happy Father's Day. Yeah, people are like, how could you stream on Father's Day? I'm like, what? I don't really. I'm not like that. I mean, if my wife had said, hey, for Father's Day, I've got us a special weekend getaway, we're going to the mountains or something, then I wouldn't be here. But that didn't happen. So here I am, I guess. Let's take a question. What is there the best way to get an O4 air unit currently? If you're looking to get an O4 air unit, probably one of the best ways currently is to go to Flywoo. Flywoo has been, I don't want to sign in. Flywoo has been selling them. And O4 air unit. Hello, O4 wide air unit pro. This, where is the actual O4 air unit? I know that. Stop with the subscribe.
You passed it. You passed it.
Use their fucking website. Where? No, I didn't. I didn't.
It's sold out. Third column. Third column down one.
Whoa, I see. That's the air unit light. Sorry, I was looking for the pro. Thank you. That is correct.
Oh, the pro's up there too.
Where's the pro, Blinty? Right. Come on. Oh, here it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So the nice thing about Flywoo is that they will sell it to you in Flywoo packaging. So I don't know that this actually matters, but if you, oh, hang on, there we go. If you have a little bit of concern about whether U.S. Customs will have a problem, it'll come in Flywoo packaging, but it's just a DJI Air unit. And it is apparently in stock. Is it in stock? No, estimated to ship between June 23rd. That's only 2 days from now.
There's 5 left in stock right there.
Yeah, okay, so you could buy one right now, and it will come pretty soon. Likewise here. Yep, same deal. Sold out, though, so that's okay. The Pro's the one you really want. The other thing is Pyro Drone had it. O4. Pyro Drone had a shipment come in. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I would guess that they've sold out because that was last week. But let's just check. But Flywoo is a consistent and reliable source. They're out of stock, and then they come into stock, and then they're out of stock again. But like, they are a consistent and reliable source. And if you're concerned about getting them into the country, they'll ship them with Flywoo packaging. Is there tariff? I don't know. There's various ways that things can be shipped.
Yeah, reports have been that Flywoo orders are not tariffed, but I'm not sure.
That's hot. That's hot. So $249.99. That's just the standard price, I believe. Then Pyro has the Pro for $289. In stock, ships in the USA. In stock right now. Can we do this thing? Does this thing still work? Yeah, it does. What? Shut up. No! No way! No way! No effing way.
Well, that did actually update the quantity.
There you go. Yeah. 144. Flywoo, Pyro Drone has 144 air units in stock right now. Holy shit. I'm gonna buy them all. I'm gonna buy them all. I'm gonna list them on eBay for $350. That would be evil. Okay, so it's a little trick. If you ever want to stock check a store, some people in the comments are reacting. This is a little trick. You just try to buy 9999999, and then they will only let you put in the number that they actually have. Like I don't know how stores would prevent this. Like, I don't know if they care, but like for competitive reasons, I mean, I can imagine stores wanting to obscure this information, but on the other hand, like, like you want to sell them too. So like, you don't know. Yeah. There's another trick I learned. I learned this trick from Tyler Brennan, the previous owner of Race Day Quads and founder of Race Day Quads. What you do is you order from a store once a week. You just do like a $10 order from the store once a week or something, however often you want. And a lot of times stores will generate order numbers sequentially. Now, and so what you do is, if you want to track your competitor's business, Tyler's no longer in the business, and many stores these days will randomize their order numbers specifically to prevent this from happening. So I don't feel like I'm giving away Tyler's secrets. But what he would do is, for all of his competitors, he would do little orders, just little $10, $5 orders once a week. And then he would track the order numbers, and he would know how many orders they were doing. And that's how he kept track of how, obviously you don't know how much money they're doing, but you know how many orders they're doing. And I was like, that's pretty devious. That's pretty devious. It is just a standard thing with Shopify, for example. You just tick a box and it randomizes your order numbers to prevent your competitors from doing this. But not everybody has ticked that box. And back in the day, that was not as common a thing to do. Anyway, so that's where you can buy them. Flywoo or Pyro Drone, depending on where you are in the world. Feel free. Let's see. Okay, I'm just checking. Nope. Okay. Next question. Hey Joshua, I'm in the UK where the O4 is readily available and I have spares. Could I put it in a 4-inch with 1404 3500 kV motors for long range? Yeah, absolutely. 4-inch is a nice long range platform. If you don't need to carry a camera, you can get fairly decent range out and flight time. It's not too difficult to get 20-25 minutes out of a 4-inch. There are other reasons why 4-inch is suboptimal as a long-range platform, specifically lightweight. Lightweight means and small props means it's going to have a harder time fighting the wind. As you get into true long-range flying, you deal with wind more and more. You'll need to go up in altitude in order to get your video link to have range. If the closer you are to the ground, the more terrain and obstacles impact your video link. So the further out you fly, the higher in the air you got to be. And so then as you go higher, you deal with wind. And 4-inch is not particularly prepared to deal with wind. You want larger props to deal with wind. They'll generate more thrust. But in terms of pure flight time, it's very doable to get 20-25 minutes out of a 4-inch if you with good design. And yeah, it's very doable. So is 1404 3500 kV the right motor? Well, what I would do is I would go look at the Flywheel Explorer, which is it's a sort of canonical archetype of a 4-inch long-range drone. And I just look at what motors they use just to get a baseline. Any minute now. Where's the motors? Can I just find the specs? Can I just find the specs for this effing drone? Specs, there we go. Right at the top. I scrolled past it naturally. Motors, 1404 2750. So I feel like that's for 4S. 3500 kV is a little higher kV. You might want to use a motor output limit to scale those back or just be gentle on the throttle. But I think you're going to do okay. I think that's a fine setup. Spammerus says, I have built a 7-inch quad. It overall seems to be flying okay, but when I do sharp yaw movements, it tends to fly up. What's the best way to reduce this effect? Look, there are things you can do to reduce this effect, but listen, with 7-inch props, those motors a 7-inch drone is not going to have fantastic yaw performance. Don't do sharp yaw moves on a 7-inch drone. Probably what you're observing is a normal effect. And although there are things you might be able to do to reduce it, you're never going to get it to the point on a 7-inch where it doesn't happen. It can be difficult to get it to a point on a 5-inch where it doesn't happen. But those props are so big and the motors are so big, they just don't have the responsiveness to be able to do snappy yaw moves without climbing. That's at least the position I'm going to take, here on the live stream. If someone wanted to be contrarian, I think it's possible somewhere in the world there's someone who's built a 7-inch drone and they've managed to engineer and tune it to the point where they can do snappy yaw moves and it doesn't freak out too much. But I think that's not the norm. And I think in general, if you have a 7-inch, why are you doing snappy yaw spins? That's not classically what a 7-inch is used for. Okay. So I would say that that's going to be difficult to eliminate, maybe possible to mitigate. But in general, I think you're just trying to, you say, well, I bought a 800 horsepower supercharged Mustang and my gas mileage is 12 miles to the gallon. How can I get better gas mileage? It's like, well, I mean, okay, maybe you could get that mileage from 12 to 15 if you were real careful. But like mostly you just bought the wrong car. Okay. Here's one from Crom. Crom, thank you for weighing in. Crom says, I do 7-inch freestyle, and basically the best you can do is bigger motors. I run 2808. Okay. Yes, bigger motors are going to have more torque and therefore more response. Well, it's not a given that they'll be more responsive. A bigger motor will have more torque, but it also could have mass further out from the center, which would make it less responsive. But bigger motors, more torque, for sure. I run low PWM for better braking. That is true. So let's talk about the things that you could do to make it better. Low PWM. So in your ESC settings, the PWM frequency, it'll commonly go from as low as maybe 16 kilohertz up to all the way up to maybe 96 kilohertz. The exact numbers depend on the capabilities of your ESC. The lower your PWM frequency, the stronger your braking is going to be, and that stronger braking will help mitigate this effect. So run 16 kilohertz or whatever the lowest your ESC can do. Don't use variable PWM or by RPM PWM on your ESCs. Bigger motors. Lower yaw rates. And then there's a setting in Betaflight called yaw acceleration. I believe it is. At least there used to be. Do I have a Betaflight flight controller handy? Let's play this game where I pull out flight controllers and I see if any of them currently have Betaflight on them, or if I just get upset and yell about it. That probably should be a bingo card. Oh, that was me. That was me. If you heard that badoom, that little USB sound, that was me plugging in. That wasn't your computer. Is this? Yes, it's Betaflight. Okay, so if I go to the CLI and type get yaw, ACC limit yaw. Yep, okay. So this value, ACC limit yaw, that's acceleration limit on yaw. Let's just double check what that is. I believe just from reading it that I know what it is, but we want to make sure that it's not always obvious. ACC limit and ACC limit yaw are settings that selectively suppress I-term accumulation. Oh, okay. So that is actually not an acceleration limit. It is an I-term limit. So that is not going to do, what we're dealing with is not I-term windup. That's a completely different thing. I thought that there was a setting that limited just acceleration on the yaw axis. Nope, I don't think so. Yeah. So basically, we just have to reduce the yaw rate. That's interesting. That's interesting. PID tuning, rate profile settings. Is it just, let's see. Yaw rate. We could just reduce the yaw rate. Yeah, no. That's it, huh? That's it. Maybe I'm misremembering, or maybe I'm remembering ACC limit yaw, and I read the term. I read it, and I assumed it was a limit on yaw acceleration, but actually it wasn't. It's something different now that I actually looked into it. Yeah. So lower your yaw max rate. Now, if you want to, let's take a look here, actually, before we go further. Let me turn this down slightly. Let's take a look at Crom's 7-inch freestyle. Crom is a member on the Discord, a moderator on the Discord, actually. Oh, I cannot, I'm so sorry. I cannot play music on the stream for fear that I will get a monetization, a copyright strike. So no sound, I'm afraid. Oh, that's some juicy spang with 7-inch. I think a lot of people would have told you that a 7-inch doesn't have the acceleration to spang. Nice sharp stops. I dig it. I would like a little wider angle on the camera. I think spang especially benefits from being able to see like the whole horizon. What camera is this, Crom? Ooh. Damn, dude. You're working that 7-inch, I tell you what. Damn, that's clean, boy. Okay, here's what I find interesting about this. If you ask people, you know, how do you spang? They would say, oh, you have to have this, use 4.9-inch props instead of 5-inch props because they're more responsive. Use these motors, use linear rates, all this stuff. Because in order to get those sharp stops and all the yada, 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 you have to set your equipment up a certain way. And now Crom is doing it with a 7-inch, which proves what I've always believed, which is that mostly it's just in the fingers. The analogy I like to use is, you know, you pick your favorite guitarist who has a signature sound. Pick your favorite musician. You hand them any musical instrument and they will still distinctively sound like themselves because mostly their signature sound is in their fingers and their brain. And then it's also in their equipment. But you hand somebody, Crom clearly just knows how to spang and he's doing it with this 7-inch. Now, it's not quite as sharp as with a 5-inch. Like, it's not like this setup doesn't make any difference, but it's looking good. That's nice, dude. That's nice. That's nice. Especially with a 7-inch, man. You crash that 7-inch, boy, you're having a bad day. BH Photo Video has O4 Pros in stock at MSRP $229. Thank you, Dinesh, for pointing that out.
Oh, you need to watch the bingo card. Watch as a freestyle clip.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking that. So let's see. Watch as a freestyle clip. Yup. Anything else? Does the 4-inch question count as a question about long range? I'm on the fence about that. He did say, would this be a good choice for question? He did say, would this be a good choice for long range? But it wasn't really like a long range question per se. I feel like if I were like interested in winning at bingo, I would count that. So okay, we count that. What else? Question about motor size. That was also a question about motor size. I'll tell you what. I feel like that was more a question about motor size than it was about long range. So I'm going to give myself motor size, but not long range. Okay. Great. All right. Somebody says this is better than iGow ducks. Hey, you guys, Blunty, please prioritize getting this out on the Clips channel, as I'm sure you would, just intuitively. But, guys, the international game of Whoop is happening right now. What is iGow? Oh, almost! Bardwell forgot to change screens. Nah, I got it that time. International Game of Whoop is a competition that you can participate in from home. Basically, the way it works, so you go to internationalgameofwhoop.com to learn more about it. But basically, the way it works is each week they post a trick. Like, you know, in the beginning, the tricks are really simple. Like, you know, do an orbit around an obstacle. You know, 1 360 one way, 1 360 the other way. You deviate, and it's just like to get you in the swing of things for the competition. You do the trick, you upload your video to the internet, you email them or you submit to them, and then they score it. And there's no scoring. Like, either you did the trick or you didn't. And if you didn't do the trick, then you get a letter. You get it, and basically it's like playing horse, HORSE, WHOOP. Each week that you don't succeed at doing the trick, you get a letter, and eventually you're eliminated. There's prizes. It's really fantastic because, you know, if you have a whoop, you can compete at home. Even if there's prizes every week, so even if you're not going to make it to the very, at the end, the tricks get insane because they have to eliminate people, and the last pilots standing are ridiculously good, so they'll just be preposterously difficult tricks. But even if you're not going to win, like, just competing is fun, and it's just a nice opportunity to become a better pilot. You can win prizes even in the early weeks. They give prizes out every week. It's fantastic. I actually... usually I promote the game of Whoop before it starts. It has actually started. I believe they're in week 2, and I believe that the July 4th is the next cutoff. So at this point, if you join in, you might start with a letter for the first week that you missed. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but it's not too late to get in, and you totally should. And I apologize. FPV Skittles reached out to me, and I have just been... In the last 2 months, I've been on the road. I have been doing a million things, and I just haven't been as responsive to emails as I normally am. And so he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, it's happening." And I was like, "I know it's not." Well, I didn't even reply to him, which is I feel kind of bad about that as well because I hate But I was like, well, I could probably do something. Yeah, because I wanted to promote it, but I didn't want to commit because I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to do it. And so I was kind of stuck in this liminal mindset of I want to do it, but I'm not going to reply and tell him, no, I can't do it. But I'm not going to reply and tell him, yes, I can do it, because then if I don't do it, I'll have told him I could. And so basically I just left his email on read until this very moment. Anyway, get him for Whoop happening. Go do it. It's awesome. Anyway, I'm glad that that's taken care of. How bad is crashing in large grass? I'm very new to flying and I can only practice in tall grass. It's great. So crashing in tall grass is fantastic because your drone tends not to break. The grass is very forgiving. Downsides of crashing in tall grass. Number 1, can't find the drone. You absolutely should have a beeper on the drone, a self-powered beeper like the VFly Finder, VIFLY Finder, VFly Finder. What this is a self-powered. It's got a little 1S LiPo on the beeper, and when the drone loses power, it starts beeping. So if you crash in the grass and eject your battery, it will just start going beep, 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 beep. It's wonderful. Frankly, if you ever fly places where you might not be able to find your drone, this is cheap insurance. You absolutely should have this on your drone. It's freaking, it used to be a lot cheaper than this, I think. Now they're like $15. Oh, well. It's cheap insurance against losing your drone. So, but yeah, crash. The other thing with crashing in tall grass is if you crash in tall grass and your props get bound up and you continue to try to spin your motors, you can't smoke a motor. So I would say if you crash in tall grass, you probably should disarm, and then you should be very selective about whether you try to turtle mode out and get back in the air, depending on if your props are bound up. But other than that, and then ticks. Ticks. Watch out for ticks. Because tall grass, they got ticks. Augustantin, I said 7016 says, I have a question. I just built my first drone. Congratulations on that. I was configuring the motors in Betaflight. My flight controller disconnected and impossible to reconnect. Just the ESC is booting. I mean, that sucks, but it sounds like your flight controller died. I don't know why. And you should not conclude that you, did something wrong. I hear people sometimes say, don't ever plug the battery and the USB in at the same time. It'll fry your flight controller. And, that happened to them once, but it wasn't because the battery and the USB was plugged in at the same time. How else can you set your motor direction except by plugging in USB and battery at the same time, right? But, people will draw these conclusions, and the conclusions are not accurate. So don't draw the conclusions that are not accurate. But it sounds like your flight controller died. I'm sorry. Unplug your flight controller from the ESC. Disconnect everything from your flight controller. Desolder the receiver, everything. So you've just got a standalone flight controller. Plug it into USB. If it doesn't power up from USB, it's dead. And if it does, then you can start to sort of work back towards... The next thing I would do is I would plug the ESC in and then plug it in and see if it works. Okay? I crashed my 5-inch Mario DC, says Jimmy the Cow. And broke an arm. Any source for just an arm? Whole frames are spendy these days. Sorry, Jimmy. You've surely looked at SpeedyB's website. And presumably they don't have it. Accessories for SpeedyB Mario 5. I feel dumb because I just looked on the internet and immediately found the product that you asked for. Can I presume that you found this and it's not working for you? Is it? There you go. Mario DC, back right arm, front right arm, back left arm, in stock. Ready to go. Please enter a valid product quantity. Yes. How many will you let me add? How many will you let me add? How many will you let me add? Oh, there we go. 1,098. They will let me add 1,098. Can I add another 1,000? 2,000. Oh my God. How many will they let me add? 3,000! I think they're going to let me add any number. I don't think they're going to put a limit. They'll limit how many I can add at one time. Let's see, 5,000. Will they let me add? I finally hit the stock limit. There is a limit. Oh my God, how many arms do they have? 7,000. I got to get this to a round number. 7,094. 7,100. Gotta get this to a round number. 900. 8,000. How many do you have? 9,000. Is it just going to cap at 10,000? Nope. 9,000. 999. Okay, hang on. Can I add one? Oh, I can. 9,001. What's the number?
This is riveting, stream.
9,500. 9,500. Okay, I'm amazed that they have apparently 9,500 of these arms. I don't think they actually do. Anyway, yay! Hey, where can I get an arm for my SpeedyB Mario? From SpeedyB? From SpeedyB? The manufacturer? What? Jimmy the Cow. I got a little silly from that question because I was like, I don't know, for the most obvious place in the world. Oh man, these arms have grooves for LEDs. Maybe he's looking for arms without them. I don't know. Then I don't know. Anyway, there you go, bud. What were you gonna say?
Card, if you want to do that.
Which one? What did I do?
FPV store shown on screen. That's
fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Oh yeah, I've done that multiple times.
And
I did. I mentioned the
count for when.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned the clips channel. Absolutely. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah. Okay. I'm not there yet, but we're getting there. Has anybody gotten bingo? Maybe he's looking for US based. Sorry. You're just shit out of luck if you're waiting for anything US based. Maybe it exists, but like I'm not gonna spend valuable live stream time just Googling different stores. I will spend valuable live stream time playing how many arms do you have in stock, because that entertains me. Just if you're gonna be in this hobby, you just have to commit to ordering from overseas. I'm sorry. That's like, if you're lucky and the product is in, check the US stores first. Absolutely. Pyrodrone, Get FPV, Race Day Quads, Wrecked, etc. Feel free to be insulted if I didn't name your store right now. Who am I missing? Fly High FPV. We Bleed FPV. Please remember everyone's name. I feel like I'm thanking people at an awards show, and I'm just like, who am I going to leave off? Check the U.S. stores first, absolutely. But then a lot of times it's just you have to order from AliExpress or the manufacturer overseas, and that's just it. You just got to do it. FPV freedom.
FPV racing mentioned. Does that count with iGao?
iGao is freestyle. That's not RaceGao.
Oh, that's right. What's the other one? RaceGao racing.
RaceGao, yeah. Yep. All right. Anyway, continuing on. Up South FPV asks, I have a LiPo battery question. If a battery has reached a point in its life where the internal resistance is too high, will it cause the quad to throttle up uncontrollably? No, absolutely not. I mean, like, never say never, but no. It will cause excessive voltage sag and heat buildup in the battery. The battery will be, at the very least, you'll just get a lot of sag when you hit the throttle. But that causes the motors to slow down, not speed up. And then in extreme cases, you will have a hot and puffy battery when you land. Okay? So, nope. What causes the quad to throttle up uncontrollably is D-term wind up, D-term getting out of control, feedback in the gyro. So vibration gets into the gyro. That vibration causes the D-term to freak out, and then that feeds back into the gyro, and that feedback loop feedback gets out of control, and the motors speed up. That's what happens. So what's causing your vibration to be bad? A lot of times, if you've been PID tuning, you raised your master multiplier or your D-term multiplier too high. That's a thing that can happen. Your P to D ratio could be too high. So if your D stayed fixed but you raised your P, then that could cause the problem. But more likely you weren't PID tuning and you crashed and you like cracked your frame, or you've got a loose screw or something and it's causing the problem. That's generally the direction that I would go. Will 2407 1750 kV be too much for freestyle on a 5-inch? No, that's fine. That's fine. 2407 is actually, it's an optimal 6-inch motor size, and the kV is pretty good for 6-inch as well. Like it's a tiny bit low for 5-inch, but not that low, which means it's a tiny bit high or maybe mid-range for 6-inch. But there's a lot of overlap in 5-inch and 6-inch motor KVs. So 1750 and 2407 is a fantastic size. It as much as 2207 is just like perfect for 5-inch, 2407 is like in the perfect for 6-inch. 2407, maybe 2208, really good for 6-inch. But like, it's common for people who run heavy 5-inch drones. The problem is that the heavier drone causes the motors to heat up more. And so having a larger, more massive motor helps deal with the heat buildup a little bit better. It's very common for people who run heavy 5-inch builds to run 2407s. So that is fine. It's a little bit of extra weight. You're going to get a little bit more responsiveness probably, and really it's not a problem at all. Ion0728 asks, I took my O4 Pro camera apart, and when I put it back together, I got no video, only OSD on a black screen. The MIPI connector isn't broken. Could I have pulled on the coaxial cable too much that it broke? I mean, yeah. OSD on a black screen means that the camera, that is almost always the MIPI cable. It's not the only thing it could be, but the MIPI cable is the most likely, and also the easiest to like just buy a spare MIPI cable and swap it, because you never know. Has anybody put together a PidTune checklist that could accompany the video you put out the other day? You're talking about my video with Brian White. This video with Brian White. It's possible that Brian has a document like, hang on a second, let me go to Google Docs. Brian shared with me a document. So Brian shared with me a document that he has. I'm sure it's fine if I show it on screen. That's not the document I'm looking for. Can I just maybe search for, like, Brian White? Where's shared with me? One second. I don't want to put, like, every single Google Doc I've ever accessed on screen. That's why you're just kind of looking at my face while I mumble to myself. Can I just search for other docs shared by Brian White? It might be an email. No, it's probably an email. One second. Okay. Riveting live stream content. PID toolbox. No, I can't find it. Maybe it's in Signal. I'm going to check one more thing. I would like to show you guys this document Brian sent me, because it's close enough to what you asked for, and I think you'll like to see it. No, I'm sorry, I can't find it. All I can say is that Brian White has a document that perhaps is in the sort of realm of what you're looking for. What I would do is I would go sub to his Patreon and see if it's available as a perk to his patrons. I don't know. Or you could just message him and ask him. I don't have a document like that. And to be honest with you, I feel like a document like that would just be a book about PID tuning. Because, like, every time, like, you can write down the basic steps, but there's so many, like, okay, then, like, here's what you do. The steps of what to do to PID tune Brian's way it's doable to write them down. But the thing is, you perform the step and then you analyze the result. And that is this huge branching, if this, then that. Like, what are you looking for? Well, you know, it's very hard to sum up what you're looking for. And then it's like, okay, you're looking for this. Now, if you don't have that, how do you get there? Okay, well, here's what you're looking for, and here's the other 15 ways it could go wrong, and the 27 ways that you need to address it if it goes wrong. And it's like, there you go. It's like, it's very hard. But if such a thing exists, Brian will have made it, and I would reach out to him. Joseph Dahari. Joseph, that's evil. That's evil, but I like it. I don't think this is going to work. I think this is going to be a terrible idea. But I am intrigued enough. Hang on. I am intrigued enough that I'm going to do it. And I understand that this is going to ping a bingo. Should it be pro? No, we're going to do thinking. Surely this is going to be a disaster. That's going to take a minute. We'll come back to that. Surely, first of all, it's got to, it's like, can it possibly do a good job? It can't. It's going to fuck it up. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. All right, we'll go to the next question while it works. While it works on that, that's going to take a minute. Oh, nope. There you go. Just spit it out. I understand that this is a little bit of a trope. Oh, Bardwell's looking at AI on stream. It's just, I'm so intrigued that this. I remember when the ability to have a computer do good voice synthesis like became, I don't just mean like you, it understands you talking to it. I mean like the ability to have a computer speak without just pre-recording the audio was like, oh, that's really cool. And like just as these technological hurdles, the ability to just feed it a video and have it summarize the video, the fact that you could even do a bad job at that is kind of just amazing to me. Let's see how it did. Correct. 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 I'm not even sure we talked about this. I don't actually know if we talked about that. That is correct, though. Well, so then the question would be, what's left out? Go ahead, Blenty.
My question is, did it actually get a transcript, or did it get a summary of the video and then make up a bunch of stuff about tuning based on the summary?
How would we know?
I don't know, but I typically use, I like feed it a transcript normally. Just for food for thought for its feature.
That's interesting. That's interesting. The question would be, and I don't remember every single thing we did, if there was something like, for example, it doesn't have, I can't think of what it doesn't have. I was going to say it doesn't have black box configuration, but it does. It goes here. Debug 1/4, set the debug mode to gyro scaled or PID loop. That's incorrect. That is definitively incorrect. Betaflight 2025.12 does not need gyro scaled, and I don't think PID_loop is actually a thing. He had us do the motor RPM. So this is the first thing we see that is definitively just a hallucination. So, okay, so we'll stop there because it's no good if there's definitive hallucinations. It's not bad. This is correct. That's correct. It's shockingly good. Minimize filter latency. Gradually back off the filter to eradicate phase delay. I made that up. We actually set the filter based on the prop RPM. So that's just made up. So no, I would say that this is, it's definitely pulling things from the video though. Brian warns that it's keep an eye on iTerm relax. That's not, what does that mean? That's not a definitive, like, this is bad. Like when I write tutorials, it's very important to give specific instructions. Don't just say keep an eye on. You need to give a specific instruction for what you're going to change and a specific outcome that you're looking for to know if you did it right. Anyway. Nah, it's just making shit up. Nope, it hasn't done a good job. If I don't know where I would get a transcript. You can get a transcript, but copy pasting it is a pain in the ass. All right, we're going to stop there. Darren. Well, there you go. My hopes were dashed. I never bought an FPV drone. What is the best kit for me to start with that is under $300? You're going to be buying a Whoop class drone in the 65mm size. One that I would suggest that you check out is the Beta FPV VR01 kit. Hang on, I'm trying to find it. VR01 goggles, sure, but you can actually get a whole kit. Stop with the pop-ups. How can I get a whole kit? Ready to fly kits, yeah. What is it? What do they sell the VR01 goggles with? Is it the Ocula? VR03. It's not terrible. I don't know if I would exactly steer you that direction. Meteor 75 Pro HD, that's it. So this is the Beta FPV Meteor 75 Pro HD. It's a little bit over your price, $318. The advantage of this is that it uses the Beta FPV P1 video system. And this is going to be a little bit of a controversial choice for a beginner, because the P1 video system has significantly better video than analog. It is a digital system. You can see here, this is just a little test I did. I was somewhere in the world, and I had the opportunity to fly through this closed down commercial area in a stadium. And this is shockingly good range and penetration for like just a cheap little 75mm drone. Like analog, I don't know how well analog would do that, but the image quality would be nowhere near as good. That's a fact. But as you see here, the latency is poor. It's not a complete deal breaker until you start moving fast in proximity. Here I'm testing the dark, the low late performance. Not that good. But it's very usable, and it's incredibly inexpensive. That's what it's got going for it. And so I think there's an argument that as a beginner, you might say, I don't care about the bad latency quite that much. I'm just going to focus on learning to fly. I'm going to focus on very basic, slow, smooth flying. I'm going to enjoy the nice video. And if you felt that way, $320 for this kit is not bad. It's a pretty good value. The downside is going to be that when you lock yourself into this video system, then as you become a better pilot and start getting to the point where you would benefit from lower latency, you're going to have to switch video systems, because this video system, they can only get the latency so low. Like, never say never, I guess, but like that's just they're focused on low cost and not focused on the lowest possible latency. So you would then be like, okay, well, should I just buy analog? Okay, sure. You could buy that exact same kit with an analog setup, and it's only $200. And if you say, which of these is the best for me to buy if I intend to eventually get into FPV racing and maybe FPV freestyle, I would say skip the P1. The P1 is like, it feels good when you don't actually know what you're going to want for the long term. If you were going to go into long range, well, I don't know that the P1 system can go long range. It is in the Artisan family of transmitters, and they do have some high-powered transmitters. I don't know if anybody has done long-range testing on them. So theoretically, with the right transmitter, you could go long-range with the VR01 goggles and with the VR01 system. If you're doing longer-range stuff, then the latency doesn't really matter. And you're like, okay, well, you're good to go. But most people getting into FPV, they're eventually going to get into racing and or freestyle, and the latency is going to matter. At which point, you say, okay, I'm not going to do I'm not going to eat the candy right? I'm not going to take that sugary candy, oh, it looks so good, but then it's going to screw me over in the long term. I'm going to just eat the broccoli, right? And analog is the broccoli. It's good for you. It's not sweet and it doesn't look good, but it's got that low latency and it is good. It's cheap. And basically, you could just use analog for the whole rest of your FPV career, quote unquote career. And that's the sort of right choice. The Light Radio 2 transmitter is a complete piece of shit, unfortunately. The goggles are okay. I don't know if I would steer you to this exact kit, but what else? Acula. I wouldn't do the Acula. Probably the Acula does have a better transmitter and better goggles. Maybe the Acula would be an okay choice. Maybe. It's not terrible. Maybe the Acula. Yeah. $258. Okay. I've talked myself into it. I reviewed the Acula 2.0. You can watch my review of this exact kit. Acula 2.0. Where is it? Oh, this is the Acula. Oh, when I reviewed the P1. Yeah, I love that color. That's good looking lighting. Yeah, watch this video. You can get this kit with the P1 or analog. You can learn about how the Acula flies. Pros and cons. Oh no, I remember. It like shuts down when the battery gets low. That sucks. Oh. I don't know. It's tough. It's not the perfect. There's no perfect answer. But this is the general direction I would steer you. A 65 or 75 millimeter ready to fly kit. What's Emax got? What's Emax got? They got a ready to fly kit, right? Tiny Hawk 2. Ah, that's solid. Out of stock. Does it exist? I don't know that it exists. That's a good choice if you don't need prop guards for internal flying. Interior flying. Oh, this 2S adapter is a piece of garbage. No, don't buy that. Woof. Woof. Oh, Tiny Hawk 3 RTF kit. Like, none of them are perfect. There's the compromises at this price point for sure. Maybe the Acula 2.0 is the best you could get, especially given your price point. This is an okay controller. Is an okay set of goggles. Not great, but like okay. And it's an okay drone. They all have some drawbacks, but it's in your price point. It'll get you into the hobby. That's going to be my go-to for this segment anyway. That's going to be my go-to. Let me just double check here. Question asking for the best new drone. That's probably counts, right, Blunty? What do you think? What's the best kit for me to start with? I feel like that's in the spirit of that square. Yeah, for sure.
What about Bardwell Travel Story? Do you have that one? Yeah.
Because I talked about
going to the stadium. Does that count?
Let's not be too generous. I mentioned that I was somewhere in the world. That's not really a travel story. Especially if we're only going to, like, that was a story about, I don't feel like that. No, I'm not going to give myself that one. Like, that was a story about the drone. If I had gone more into depth with a separate topic, I would give myself the travel story. But I'm not going to give myself that. Nah. I can't believe I still haven't gotten, I'm not going to get bingo this time. I mean, I could just, you know, just give myself bingo. Blunty, have we gotten 0 super chats this whole stream? Am I seeing that? What? All right, fine. Well, at least we got Discord. Okay. I'll take this question from Gandalf, who is a Discord user and a patron, just to remind people that money exists. Does anybody know of a good 5-inch Spang / Freestyle frame? Question about frame choices. Definitely count that one.
Also,
I'm so close. I did mention Discord. Like I did, like that. You're right. I'm so close. Hey, Blunty. Hey, Blunty. What do you think about latency? No. A good 5-inch freestyle frame. Let's see. I mean, everything is out of stock or doesn't exist anymore. What's a good 5-inch or freestyle frame? I tell you what I'm going to do. The thing is, like, you suggest things and then they're not in stock or they don't exist. Let's go to Race Day Quads and let's go to frames and then we'll go to 5-inch. Let's just look at what's out there. Axis Flying Manta, TBS Source 1, iFlight Nazgul. Nah, skip that. That's a fine frame, but like the Johnny FPV is more about cruising and carrying a GoPro than pure freestyle. I don't think it fits what you're asking. HGLRC Sector, HGLRC MI5, Quadifier Diamondback Pro. Oh, I should choose in stock. Can I? No. Oh, no, why would I want to pick things that were in stock? Maybe all of these are in stock. I don't know. Newbie Drone Inertia, Vanny Style 5-inch. Source 1 V4. Source 1 V3. Source 1 V2. Source 2. Oh, that's the racing one. And then we got sold out. I see. So they just put all the in-stock stuff at the top. Fine. Ooh, the ERA 5-inch is exciting. It's too bad it's sold out. And it's too bad it's $130. So the first one I'll have you look at is the TBS Source 1. This is an open source freestyle frame. The CAD files are published to the world. Anyone, you could cut this in your garage right now if you had a CAD, if you had a 2-axis CAD setup. I'm sorry, not CAD, CNC. A 2-axis CNC setup in your garage. You could literally just cut this yourself. You could also buy it. You probably couldn't cut it this cheap, frankly, but there's several different revisions of the Source 1. This is the V6. Not everybody agrees that the newer ones are better. So, like, just go look at the Source 1. And it goes all the way back. Here is the Source 1 V6. Here's the Source 1 V4. Some people feel that this is the best one. Here's the Source 1 V3. You can see, just take a little trip backwards through time. I don't think I would suggest the V3. That's a pretty antiquated design. Some people feel that the V4 was the best one. It's sold out, though, sadly. The V6 isn't bad, though, for sure. And it certainly is a more refined design. And it's $40. Can't go wrong with that. Can you? And spare parts will always be available because it is open source. Anyone can cut it. So let's assume you don't want that. I feel like the iFlight Nazgul, iFlight is very focused on their own electronics and their own bind and flies. So although this is a nice frame in a lot of ways, I wouldn't choose it for a self-build because it do you see that the side plate has this USB cut out here specifically for the iFlight flight controller? Well, what if I didn't use the iFlight flight controller? Well, okay, so I just take the side plate off. Okay, well, now I'm just throwing out a part of the frame that I bought. It's just a little bit too focused on exactly how iFlight wants to do things. And if you're not building an iFlight Nazgul, then I think I would probably go a different direction. But it's a nice frame, for sure. Axis Flying Manta. Good general purpose frame. Not a split deck design. Flat deck. Lots of room. Got the robust set of 3D prints. Very nice. Nice front end for camera mounting. There's nothing wrong with that. $82. Jesus Christ. HDLRC Sector. I don't know what's going on here in the rear. The rear is weird. Is that made for a 3D print? That's a little weird. Yeah, pretty standard design though. I don't know if I would like jump on it. HDLRC MI5, $30. It's freaking weird though. I don't know, like these weird thin arms or the fat body. What are you doing? I would reject this frame just based on how it looks, and for that price, I would go with the Source One V6 first. This thing looks badass, and it comes in purple immediately to the top of the list. Quadifier Diamondback Pro Type F03. This is made for the O3, but there's various versions of this available for different air units, and I think that's just the 3D print anyway. I don't... This thing looks a little heavy metal for my tastes. You may not like the aesthetics. The sharp points at the front. I wouldn't choose that. Not for safety reasons, although safety sure, but because those sharp points are going to wear away in crashes, I would rather have something blunt to help protect the camera. That's not going to break or wear away. That's just creating a stress point right where the force is going to be concentrated. Still, very stylish, and maybe it appeals to you. What was that? That was just spare parts. Okay, skip that. Vanny style. Can't go wrong with Alex Vanover's own frame. You know it's going to be durable and fly good. I think that this frame, I've looked at this frame before. I think it's a little tight in the rear. If you're not going to be going with a DJI Air unit, it could be a little bit of trouble to fit some video transmitters in there. The camera mounting is not that sophisticated either. Like a lot of times you'll have a metal front end that will then let you, can I zoom in? You'll have a metal front end that will then let you, what it does is it actually boxes in and braces the front end. And the way this is designed, it's not actually adding that boxed in bracing. So it's going to have maybe a little bit of less strength there, but it's probably fine. $80. Not cheap. Guess that's just
the Discord
cost.
wants you to look at Dahari's frame, the PZ5.
PZ5 FPV frame. All right.
If you go, he's got a link in the
Discord.
Discord. Here, hold on.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you, Plenty. What can I would love some better pictures, some bigger pictures. I like the front end. Is that metal? I can't tell. Is it carbon? I would love to see, it's like just some, there we go. There's a nice picture. Zoom in. Can I? Okay, so that's is that carbon or metal? I can't tell. It's got a 3D print covering it, adding some abrasion resistance. That's nice. Looks like a pretty solid design. Yeah. What's it cost? $70. That sucks. Countersunk nuts. It always looks nice. Mounting in the rear for your air unit. 3D prints. Yeah, I can't complain too much about that. Like, there's a lot of things that you would want to know about these. Oh, well, how does it crash? And obviously, just from a live stream review, like, we can't know how it's going to crash. If we crash it 57 times, does it stand up? Is there a weak spot? We could only speculate. But, like, I don't see any obvious defects. Is that a countersunk screw? Okay, so, like, if I have to nitpick, I like this center post back here. This center post in the front, I think that adds a lot of strength. I think that's good. These countersunk screw holes here, that's a fairly thin plate. Like, is it a 3mm plate? Is it 2.5? Like, just from looking at the picture, I'm guessing it's not a 3mm plate. But I could be wrong. Can chat tell me if that's a 3mm plate? And so when you countersunk that, you lose a lot of material. And that very much creates a weak spot. I understand that countersunk screws have some advantages, like they don't rub on the battery in the same way. If I had to like go, well, what don't I like about this frame? Find anything. You know, I would say that those countersunk screws. Joseph, how thick is the top plate? Joseph is in the chat. I would say that like the countersunk screws to me stand out as a point where if I had to nitpick, I would be like, well, I feel like that's going to create a weak spot. I do like that we got all these nice curves here to avoid creating stress risers around the screw holes. Like a lot has been done right here. Solid. 2.5, okay. So like when you show me a 2.5 inch top plate and you countersink, like think about when you countersink how much material we're removing there. We've basically, I feel like that's a weak spot, but you know, that would only be if you like forced me to nitpick it. Yeah, is that a point where a lot of stress is going to be concentrated? Right? Probably not. Anyway, yeah, it's solid. Solid. Very nice. What about the SpeedyBee Mario? So SpeedyBee Mario is a great frame and has been not that expensive. However, they've been a little difficult to get. Shut the. Are you for real? Oh no, no. So the problem is that the Mario's just been out of stock forever. It's a fine frame, especially for the price. It's been priced very competitively. You can't get it. You can't get it. So it doesn't matter how good it is. 100% I recommend it if you can get it, which you can't. Right? Where could you get it? Anyway. All right. Oh, we got some super chats. Thank you. See, whine about super chats and then you get them. Happy Father's Day. Thank you for $2 from Stone FPV. Thank you for Ciati for $5. Appreciate it, dude. $20 from Steady Eddie Drones, who says, appreciate all you do. Your content and beginner kit lit the fire. Now I'm going drone racing, search and rescue, event organizing. Are you going to Castle Crash this year? I have no active plans to go to Castle Crash this year. That doesn't mean that I won't like end up there through some quirk of fate, but I do not have a current plan to do that. Marco, I don't count. I'm not going to give myself bingo for racing mentioned just because I like said the word racing. I wouldn't do that. I don't think I talked about racing. I'm not giving myself FPV racing mentioned just based on the fact that I said the word. I wouldn't do it. I mean, you could do it if you want to, but I'm not gonna. If I did, I would have bingo though. So, just want to say. First ever super chat as tuition that got me flying and continuously support debug guideline. Don't worry, I'm also a patron. Thank you, BBF 1816. Much love from Taiwan. Thank you for 30 Polish slotty from Taiwan. Interesting combination. Notice FPV. Thank you for $5. I'm very interested in Andy 2216 question on junctions and antenna questions affecting signal strength. Could you discuss? Question. Does installing SMA to RP SMA adapters hurt the performance of my antennas? Asks Andy. Yes, it does, but only by a tiny bit. So we did a test a while back on the Discord server. One of the patrons tested the loss through those adapters. And the short version is that the adapters usually, let's just say they have about 0.5 dB of loss as just a round number, okay? In reality, sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less. There was a variety. There was a variance. I don't know how I could ever find that page again. Maybe I talked about it.
Oh, we put that on the news. If that's what, are you talking about the extension testing?
Well, he did SMA extensions. He did pigtails, but he also, I thought, did the little adapters. Did he not?
I'm not sure. I remember the extension testing. It's like DM4 FPV or DM4DS. DM4DS.
Sander de Bronner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Boom! Livestream clips! Aerial tramway! I watched that clip yesterday. It was fucking hilarious. Do you lose range using SMA and UFL adapters? Joshua Bardwell Livestream clips. If you don't know, I have a Livestream clips channel. Post clips of my live streams. One of the nice things about it is that when we do the live streams, we'll talk about something and then you'll never find it again because it's buried in the middle of a live stream. But when Blunty puts it on the Livestream clips channel, bada bing, there it is. You can find it. And let's see if I show. Do I talk about? No. Okay. Well. I thought I was going to see that that page. Anyway, here's a Reddit thread. I mean, like I said, a half a dB is a nice round number. The thing is, if you have one connector and it costs you a half a dB, it probably doesn't matter, right? I mean, yes, that half a dB is there, but like there's a lot of things that'll cost you a half a dB here or there. The problem with dB loss is when you do a bunch of things that add up to a lot of loss, and then you just have shitty range. So, but yes, you wouldn't want to just go nuts with those adapters as if they were free. They are not free. Oh, Blunty, you're the man. Blunty found it. Thank you, Blunty. So here is a web page put up by Sander de Bronner, a member of the Discord, and he did some testing on cables. Now, this is different than the adapters. And here are the results that he found. And what was interesting was the variance. The variance in loss between the different cables was surprising.
Also, yeah, some of those are a butt ton of loss.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's more than you think. And some of these are long, right? They're 10, we're talking about 10 centimeter.
So 10 centimeters 25. Is not that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like
the difference...
But like the low loss on 5.8 at 50 centimeters is 5 dB. I mean, that's huge.
Sure. And 50 centimeters is... Well, that's a fairly long pigtail. How many is that in inches?
Right.
Like 10 inches, I think. 19. Oh, no, I'm way off. 20 inches. So it's like almost 2 feet. I mean, but most people would buy a 2-foot pigtail and maybe think, oh, that's not that long. Yeah, 15 dB of loss in the worst case. And in the best case, it's down around 5 dB. So for a rule of thumb, 6 dB halves your range. So that cable is halving your range in the best case. And in the worst case, it's the other. So the two things to look at are like, and again, these are cables, not connectors. So this is different. It's different. But you want to minimize sources of loss. That's what you want to do with RF. So if you need an adapter, but you need an adapter, right? You're going to use the adapter. If you need a pigtail cable, you're going to use a pigtail cable. But don't just get a 20-inch pigtail cable if a 6-inch pigtail cable would do. That loss does matter. And then the other thing we see is this wild variance where, like, at the 10-centimeter size, which you can't see because my face is on screen, at the 10-centimeter size, most of the cables have relatively low loss. And then, blah, here's one with 5 dB. Right? At each of the sizes, there's outliers. And so, like, presumably that's manufacturing QC inconsistency. But, like, if you don't have a multi-$1,000 tool that lets you measure this loss, how are you going to know? good question.
Yeah, my memory is he bought batches of 50 of these cables and then hand-picked 5 out of each batch to like try. And they were like Amazon batches. So he was like, what could you be getting as a person who was trying this stuff, know? And the answer is like, who knows? Some of them are fine and some of them are terrible. So
Yeah. You can test with the Immersion RC RF power meter and find wild outliers, but it's not precise enough to give you 2 dB of it'll show a 2 dB difference, but it's not precise enough for that to really be meaningful. $5 holla from Daytona Jim. Thank you for $5, Daytona Jim. What's your daily driver radio of 2026? That is the GX12, the Radiomaster GX12. Can you comment on the DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge? Yeah. This is pretty interesting. The DARPA Heavy Lift Challenge is asking... So DARPA basically invents moonshot challenges and then puts up prize money for people to complete the moonshot, and then advances technology as a result. So one of the early DARPA challenges that I remember from my lifetime was a challenge to autonomously drive a vehicle across the desert. And now autonomous driving is pretty well developed, but then at the time it was like, oh, how are we going to do this? So what they're asking for is a multi-rotor that weighs no more than 55 pounds. Actually, multi-rotor isn't in a requirement technically. An aircraft that weighs no more than 55 pounds and can lift a minimum payload of 110 pounds. So that's a thrust-to-weight ratio of 2-to-1, roughly. Across a 5 nautical mile course. So you can't just lift it, hover, and then land. You have to move it 5 nautical miles. Going into more detail. VTOL is a requirement. They don't say that, but the layout of the course is such that, maybe they do say that. The layout of the course is such that you have to be able to take off vertically. You can't just use a fixed wing, because a fixed wing would have much better, be much more capable of hitting that 2-to-1 threshold than a multi-rotor. So this is hard. This is very hard. The thrust to, the ability to carry 110 pounds, right now, if you look at the DJI Heavy Lift drone, what is the model? The Flycart 30. Okay. DJI Flycart 30, DJI Heavy Lift drone. Suffice it to say that DJI is the pinnacle of multi-rotor engineering today. If DJI hits a thrust-to-weight ratio of X with a flight time of Y, it's not that can't possibly be beat for any amount of money, but it's probably it's going to be hard for you to match that, right? I think we can all agree. Let's look at the specs for the DJI Flycart 30. 30 kilos max payload with a 28 kilo flight distance without payload, 16 kilos with full payload. 30 kilos max payload. Hold on a second. That's not 110 pounds. It's 66 pounds. Okay, so it can't do it. Period. But theoretically, what's the thrust-to-weight ratio? 30 kilos max payload. Well, I don't know how much thrust it makes. What is it? I don't know. Oh, so never mind. I can't possibly. 40 kilos max payload on a single battery. Do they advertise the TWR? No. Okay, DJI Flycart 3.0 thrust-to-weight ratio.
Also, just to be clear, I'm sure you'll get there, but also the weight of the drone.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking for a fucking TWR. 3.1 to 1. The Alta 8 has a 3.1 to 1 thrust to weight ratio. DJI Flycart 30. Okay, well, we have a number for the Alta X, rather, which is a 3.1 to 1 thrust to weight ratio at lighter payloads. Oops, that's not helpful. Okay, I'm not going to keep looking, but suffice it to say, the thrust to weight ratio for these drones is typically in the 0.8 to 1 ratio. To achieve even a 1 to 1 thrust to weight ratio on these heavy lift drones is extremely difficult. To get a 2 to 1 and you say, well, my 5-inch drone has an 8 to 1 or a 12 to 1 thrust to weight ratio. Yeah, that's easy to do with a 5-inch. When you have to lift 100 pounds, it's very, very hard. Just everything scales up and gets heavier. It's very hard.
They're advertising.
A Chinook helicopter has about a 1 to 1 thrust to weight ratio. Go ahead, Blinty.
They're advertising 30 kg, but the weight of that drone is 45 kg with the battery, right?
Yes.
So I mean, we're not even, you know what I mean? We're on both sides of the challenge is all that I'm pointing out. It's this thing is more than twice as heavy as you can be for the challenge, and it's carrying half the weight.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah. So you're saying that a 45-pound DJI drone can carry about a 60-pound
No, it's 45
payload.
Kilos, as far as I know.
45 kilos? 45
kilos. Do you want to confirm? But I'm pretty
so
sure.
we have to reduce weight, and we have to increase payload, is what you're getting at.
Yes.
And we have to reduce weight and increase payload, and therefore we have to increase the thrust to weight ratio. So basically, they're asking us to do something that at first glance is just impossible, which is what they do. That's what DARPA does.
It's 93 pounds dry without batteries.
Okay. And it
and
lifts
with batteries
60
is 140 pounds. Yeah.
And it lifts 60
pounds. 140 pounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So best case, 90 divided by 60 is a thrust to weight ratio of 1.5. No, that's not right. It's going to be 90 plus 60 is what it's. So it's going to be 150 pounds all up as flown, and it's carrying 60 pounds. So the thrust to we don't know the thrust. We can't possibly know the thrust. So we don't. Never mind. Skip it. Okay. So point being, I don't know how anyone's going to do this. Now, someone's going to try, and someone may succeed. I'm not saying it's impossible. But, what does it even look like to try to win this?
Well, right. I think the argument, right, is that DJI doesn't specially do exactly this, right? A Flycart 30 is also meant to do all the airspace navigation, has extra electronics, has safety margins, right? There's all these pieces that DJI is going to include as engineering that are going, and also their number is probably lower than the number it can really carry, but they have to have a safe designated number for the public.
And they fly 16 kilometers. Whereas if you said you only have to fly 5 kilometers, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, we're going to change the engineering. So, yeah, absolutely.
I think the point is it's not impossible, but it's also not something people are specializing for. And I think part of this is just going I don't know. Do you think this kind of thing is about them actually trying to find this drone? Or do you think this is about them trying to find smart people and new ideas? Because that's more the way I think about it.
Probably both. Probably both. I feel like they picked this challenge so the way that the challenge is set up is you don't fly 5 kilometers. I believe you fly a half a kilometer back and forth, right? And the idea that I want to carry a heavy weight a short distance, that is a plausible use for drones, resupplying, doing, I've heard stories out of Ukraine of guys who were surrounded, right? And they were resupplied with drones. And the drones are bringing in 50-pound boxes of ammunition, food, water, etc. And they were able to hold out for a week because we were able to resupply them with drones. So the idea that we might need to carry weight a short distance, over enemy positions or over enemy lines, that's the kind of thing that seems plausible that drones will be used for. And so for them to say, we want a drone that can do this exact thing, I do think that they're trying to push engineering in a direction that will ultimately be fruitful. But yes, they're also trying to like find the smart people who can do the smart things. But yeah, no, I think they want the solution for sure. I think if someone develops this, the government will buy them, and who knows what they'll do with them. So, yeah, seems like this is going to be a helicopter design. Like we know for a fact that efficiency of a prop or a rotor it's higher the larger the diameter of the rotor. You get better efficiency. So it seems like you absolutely are going to have a liquid fuel design on a large single rotor. I don't see how else you're going to be able to get the lift that you need to carry the weight. Theoretically, you could transition to a winged design once you're in the air. Like, you're going to have to do VTOL flight. Once you're in the air, perhaps it would make more sense to transition to a fixed wing style flight sort of profile, because fixed wing is more efficient than rotor wing. But yeah, I don't know. This is hard. So, very interesting. James Garcia, the original. I missed the beginning. Why isn't video being broadcast? It is. Your YouTube is screwed up. And that gives me a point for... Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's not on mine. Calls out, there was one. Calls out oh well. Calls out someone on chat. Oh well, no points. No points. How can HDZero have sub-analog latency level considering it's an HD system? Does it do image processing like DJI? HDZero, I mean, just because it is quote-unquote HD doesn't tell you how the signal is processed. HDZero's signal processing is very similar to analog in that it is scanline and pixel-based. It is not frame-based. And there is no compression at the frame level, like motion compression, like MP4 or H264 or H265 requires you to take multiple frames and then use those frames to do compression relative to the information that's in them. HDZero doesn't do anything like that. I wouldn't go so far as to say it doesn't do any compression. I don't know whether that's technically true, but it does. It is scanline based and pixel based, and it is not frame based. Go ahead, Plenty.
My memory of how it worked, it's been years since I've watched Carl Zhou's interview. If I would recommend anybody go watch Carl Zhou's interview with both Chris Rosser and with Madstech. They both have good information. I think the Chris Rosser one was more detailed about how the link works, but it's been so long, it's hard for me to remember. I think the two interviews are the ones you want.
That's going to be this one, I think. An interview with Carl, the inventor of HDZero, the technology behind SharkBite. Yeah, Carl is not shy about going deep into the, like, Carl is an engineer first and foremost, and a company owner second, I would say. He is not shy about going deep into the internal workings of the system.
Yeah.
And how they get the latency so low.
Is on a very simple level. They have a chip that does what's called joint source channel coding that changes the video into like an OFDM thing so they don't have to do real compression on it. It's just like this sort of base math that happens very quickly. And then they also do local pixel matching like on a very basic color level, like on 1 or 2 lines apart from each other, because all they buffer is like 1 or 1.5 lines of pixels.
Right.
So it's just like, it's like an insanely minimal version of like sort of compression. My understanding is it's not really compression, but it is technically changing the file in some way to get it over the line easier. So there's again, I would reference both those interviews for the real information from Carl. He explains how exactly it works. Which, you said,
here's the video. Here's the video I think we want, actually, and sure, go watch both of those. But if we look at this one, how the SharkBite HDZero video system works, I can't help but notice that we've got like some technical details that maybe weren't in. Like here's exactly how the signal is processed and analyzed and etc. And some technical details as to how they get the latency and specifically information about the video encoding and so forth. So yeah. Anyway, the short version is that they, just because it's digital and just because it's quote unquote HD doesn't have to mean that it's high latency. Now, obviously there are trade-offs. If you look at an HDZero screen, you can see that it is not, despite the fact that it is 720p and DJI is also 720p, or in many cases DJI is now 1080p, not all 720p look the same. Like DJI clearly has more resolution, at least as long as you're looking at a slow-moving or static image, it does. So like there's trade-offs, but the latency is legit. Thank you, Spidermouth, for a $10 super chat. How bad do you have to mess up to fry a flight controller, asks Bojack. I got D-shot telemetry errors. I touched the wires that connect the ESC to the flight controller. It caused crazy crackling sounds. Crazy crackling sounds means battery voltage is going somewhere it shouldn't go. Yeah. You might have plugged it in wrong. I don't know. That's weird. I would think, coming from an engineering background, most of the latency is from processing of the image. No, that is like define quote unquote processing of the image, Jay Whitaker. Most of the latency, I think, comes from the compression. Talking about DJI and Walksnail, they're doing H.264 or H.265 compression. The very nature of H.264 or H.265 compression requires you to buffer multiple frames so that you can compare the frames. In addition, they're doing a retransmission algorithm where you transmit the frame, and then if you don't get an acknowledgement, you retransmit the frame. And anytime you're doing that, inherently there will be delay because you have to wait for the acknowledgements to come back. So it's far too simplistic to say the latency comes from processing of the image, because you have to define what processing of the image is. But even if you were specific and said most of the latency comes from the encoding, some of the latency comes from the encoding, some of the latency comes from the transmission delay because you're waiting for acknowledgements to come back. There's a lot that goes into the latency of the DJI and the Walksnail system, and you can't just like swag it, okay? I saw the HDZero quad view monitor the other day, but nobody's done a video. So this is a very cool product. I have seen this in person. I don't own one. It's fantastic. Now it's $900, $850. So like, and that's the, whoa, that's not even the US shop. How much is it in the US store? Do they even have it in the US store? HDZero quad viewer. $950 for us USians, because tariffs or whatever. It's fantastic. It receives both analog and HDZero feeds. It can show 4 on one screen, or just, you could obviously zoom in on one. It has HDMI output, the same as the HDZero goggles do, so you could easily output to HDMI. Various power sources. If you need a screen that can view, frankly, it's a 10-inch screen. Like, even if I didn't need the quad view, it's just a fantastic screen with a fantastic receiver. Very bright. It's excellent. I wish it had an HDMI input. It doesn't have an HDMI input, so you cannot simply use it as a nice bright screen. I feel like that's a miss for HDZero, but they just, that's not where their head is at. Fair enough. Also, if I was, wishing, it's 10 inches. 10 inches is great. There's times when you wish you had a 7-inch. I wish they made a 7-inch version of this. Would be amazing. 7-inch is going to be a little bit small for the 4-in-1, but there's like there's times when you want to just mount a little 7-inch monitor somewhere. If it had HDMI input and was also available in 7-inch, I would have to work really hard to find something to complain about. As it is, it's still excellent, and I mean it's $1,000 though, so you really got to want it. Excuse me.
I will say,
yeah, Blunchy.
I mean, typically you're not interested in this unless you're running races, right?
Yes.
Most people who buy this are going to be running races or events, and at that point, then I feel like you could factor in this to the cost of the group, pretty easily if you talk about timing and setup and gates and everything you're doing anyway. It's we don't have a lot of products in this hobby that are really, really specific and wonderful. I think this is a really good product for exactly what they're trying to do. And if you need this, you really need this product. And I think it's a good
100% agree. Yeah. It's a great product. It's a great product. We could always wish it was a little cheaper. And I can always go, well, why doesn't it have HDMI input? But overall, it's just fantastic. I don't own one, and I won't be spending $1,000 on one. So unless HDZero just decides to send me one, I won't be reviewing it. But it's fantastic. I can tell you, having used it, the multi-channel, if you're anywhere where there's more than one pilot in the air, the ability to put 4 on screen at the same time is such a game changer. Because you could just quickly, oh, I see, you're up on channel 8. Okay. And you just quickly jump. You could just see what people are doing. And then if somebody's about to do something cool, you just zoom in on them. It's a game changer. It's fantastic. Its screen is bright. They did everything right about this. Except I wish that it had HDMI input so I could use it as because it's already a great 1800 nit beautiful display. Please just let me use it as an external display. Why not? And then 10 inches is great, but sometimes I wish I had a 7-inch. Make me a 7-inch version too. Anyway. I would pay... I don't know. I'm not going to say. If they made a 7-inch version, I would have to buy it. I would be obligated to buy it, unless it was just so expensive. Okay. Why is my LQ and RSSI DBM blinking? And it's set as 0. I'm going to assume you have a working receiver and it's still set as 0. In that case, the answer is that you either have telemetry turned off in the receiver tab, turn telemetry on, or you're using a type of receiver that doesn't report LQ. It's an older style receiver that doesn't report LQ and RSSI DBM.
He's talking about in the goggles. So you need to disable RSS or ADC. What is it? Or you need to do the
RSSI
channel
ADC
to disabled.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because he's talking about in his goggles, so telemetry doesn't matter.
So am I. No, it does. Yeah. No. If you have oh, sorry. Oh, boom! Bardwell forgets to switch a screen. Hold on. Still doesn't give me bingo, but I did I did reach for this and was like, oh shit, I didn't change screens. This telemetry setting here, if you turn it off, RSSI DBM won't work because it's getting the RSSI DBM via telemetry. That telemetry goes both ways. I'm about to blow your mind, Blunty. If you turn this off, RSSI DBM and LQ don't work. Test it. I'm 99%.
Does it just come on the CRSF packet the same way everything else does?
Yes, but if you turn this, the RSSI DBM and the LQ come from the Crossfire telemetry. If you turn this off, it not only stops the flight controller from sending telemetry to the receiver, it stops the flight controller from reading telemetry back, and RSSI DBM and LQ don't work. That has to be on, or you will not get RSSI DBM or LQ, because they come in via telemetry.
Okay. I don't believe that, but okay. I'll have to try that. Sorry, that just doesn't make any sense, right?
Bingo!
Okay, you could call
Bingo, motherfucker! I feel like you got passionate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
It's
that
easy.
Doesn't make any sense to me. The CRSF packets come in on the one line, the same line the normal CRSF packets come in. They come in the same line.
Obviously, the Crossfire packets are getting there, but the telemetry data is being ignored. Because you told it not to do telemetry. You told it not to do telemetry.
No,
it is.
Telemetry data is the telemetry back from.
No, it's both sides. It's both sides, Blunty. The RSSI DBM and the LQ are carried in the telemetry data. The telemetry is bidirectional. It goes from the receiver to the flight controller and back. When you turn this off, that whole thing stops working. Blunty, if this is turned off, can you do the Betaflight Lewis script?
I have no idea. I don't use the Betaflight Lewis.
You cannot, because the Betaflight Lewis script uses the telemetry connection is bidirectional from the. Anyway, you test it. You test it right now. We won't, because, but like I'm 99% sure. Anyway, that's got to be on. Your point is correct. God damn it! See, I forgot to switch screens again. You also need the RSSI channel disabled, and you need RSSI ADC disabled. So those three things would make that not work for you. Anyway.
Bry says RSSI still works.
Bry! Why? I mean, he would know. Are you sure? I really was pretty sure about that. I mean, if he says, he would know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing next to the telemetry switch you're looking at says telemetry output.
Okay, I mean, but that just go. God forbid someone writing the GUI put a word that doesn't precisely describe what's happening.
Like,
I think, Blunty, I think if you disable this, the Betaflight Lewis script doesn't work, for example.
Right, that's correct.
Because, okay, so you've just turned off telemetry. That's both ways.
Right, but it doesn't work because you're not getting it one way. That's what I'm saying.
I think it, I mean, I don't know. My understanding has been that if that's turned off, the flight controller ignores the telemetry coming from the receiver. That's why I assumed, I guess incorrectly, that also made your RSSI not work.
I will have to test that.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting. It's nice. It's nice when you get smart people in a room.
You understand what I mean, though, right? Like,
I
there's no
do.
reason the flight controller would just drop that data from the packets to go, well, we don't really care about this.
Except if this setting didn't just mean stop sending telemetry sensors. If this setting meant just ignore telemetry altogether.
But what I'm saying is, what are you ignoring? You're still getting this CRSF packet that you decode into the information that you're just ignoring.
Yes, but then you pull the information out of it, and that information becomes RC channel positions and telemetry sensors, and you just ignore the telemetry information. That's what I thought this did.
It's not. I just checked it. RSSI LQ still works.
Well, there you go. Cool. Good to know. All right, never mind then. But you still need RSSI channel disabled and RSSI ADC disabled. Thank you, Bri, for checking that. Does this count as a question about Express LRS? I don't think it does. Okay.
Now that counted as passionate. We got there.
Oh, we got there. I got bingo for sure. Anybody else get bingo? Captain Bryce says telemetry output in Betaflight only affects the generation of telemetry output from Betaflight. But that does break the Betaflight script because it relies on the output half. Fair enough. Good to know. All right, guys. That's gonna put us on the edge, on the end. Put us at the end. Let's see. Bad thing for EdgeTX to break into Surface RCs. So don't buy it. Just don't buy it.
What
do you care?
Sorry, there's a look right above that. He's got a context for that.
I had a question. I had a question regarding EdgeTX. I've noticed various YouTubers program Surface RCs to do certain tasks very differently from each other. Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing for EdgeTX to break into Surface RCs? I mean, Surface RC has sort of been standardized in a way, and then when you bring EdgeTX in there, like for example, when I did my first MT12 video, I put the throttle and the steering channel backwards from the way it's usually done. Like, okay, I mean, but, you know, whatever. People, you know, do it the right way then. Like whenever people get into a domain they're not experts at, people who are experts in the domain should take what they say with a grain of salt, and that goes for me as well. And I try to acknowledge when I'm in an area where I'm not an expert, but at the same time, like, does that mean I should never do any content about anything that I'm not an expert on? I don't accept that. So, you know, yeah. We just all sort of muddle along and we try and do the best we can, and we try and, you know, have a good time in the meantime. All right. Let's see. That's going to do it, I think. Thank you guys for coming out. We answered a fair percent of the questions. Oh, Joseph Dahari asked, what are the best analog goggles? Joseph Dahari just got bingo by asking what are the best analog goggles. Good for you, Joseph. Thank you, and thank you for a $10 super chat. Ciati is streaming. Aaron Ciati is going to be streaming. So head on over there. He's posting in the chat link, and we'll be back again tomorrow evening at the 8 p.m. time slot. Thank you guys for coming out. What a great stream. I had a good time.
Hey,
like the bingo thing, Blunty. Yo, yeah, what? We're not going yet?
We got a last-minute super chat right as we cut it off.
Damn it. Does the HDZero Freestyle V2 VTX have good penetration compared to DJI? No, not even close. HDZero and penetration don't belong in the same sentence. Much like me and my wife.
Yeah, you should expect much lower penetration as a default.
Yes. DJI is very good at that. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Quick, let's leave before anyone leaves another super chat. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.